In this video, we're going to explore the MIDI note editor. So this is where you're going to go in and edit your MIDI note data, correct some mistakes, correct some timings, or add in extra few notes, and basically to manipulate the MIDI to get it to where you want. Let's take this quiet Jazzy Rose MIDI clip, double click it, and it opens up the MIDI editor. So as you can see, here are all your MIDI notes. You can select them, move them around, and you can see as I click that note, you hear it because I have enabled the audition. If I turn that off, I can just move this note around and I won't hear anything. And it's quite handy because you can just select notes, you hear it and move it around. As you can see as well, the performance is slightly off the grid. And when I mean the grid, I mean these lines, these vertical lines that you can see that are depicting the intervals of the music performance. And you can change the grid size down over here. So you've got a couple of options. If you click here, adaptive basically means it's going to adjust the grid depending on your zoom level. I'm going to come back to that now. First, let's change this. So I'm going to turn off adaptive and I'm going to set the grid to fourth notes. And as you see, the grid lines change. So you can see every quarter note. If I change this up, there's eighth notes and there's 16th notes. Now, if I go adaptive, watch this. I'm going to zoom out and the grid lines change. So it adapts to your zoom level. So now I'm seeing quarter notes. And as I zoom in, I'm going to see eighth notes to 16th notes to even 5 if I really get into there. Okay, so that's your zoom. Now, let's talk about some other things over here. You've got snap to grid. What this means is when you move a note around, it's going to snap to the grid. And this is determined by the grid setting that you have set here. So either the adaptive mode, where your zoom level is zoomed into, or a setting that you set. So let's turn off adaptive and let's change this to eighth notes. Now, if I select a note and drag it, can you see that it's snapping to those eighth notes? If I just undo those changes, you'll see that initially that note was slightly off the grid. I could actually select the note and quantize it if I wanted to. So quantize is by taking a performance and moving them to the nearest grid line depending on your grid settings. So quantize is Q. So if I select all these notes, I've just held down Command A to select all the notes, and I press Q, it's pushed everything to the nearest eighth note. Now, as you can see, some notes were sort of played in off the grid. So if I take that off, you've got these two notes over here. Let's just listen back. So I'm just going to solo this. So you got that lead in part there. If I select all those notes and quantize it, you're not going to get that sort of lead in to that note over there. Not quite the same, but it does improve your performance. So that is snap to grid. I'm going to switch it back to adaptive. You can see that it's showing now 16th notes. Now, grid offset is where it keeps in mind the offset value that you've got. So I've got that offset there, and as I drag that around, it's retaining that offset value. So even though it's still snapping to the grid, it's retaining that offset that it has off the grid. If I turn that off, now it's going to snap it to the nearest grid. It's not retaining that offset as I move it around. I like to keep the offset to keep that timing. Now, I'm not going to talk about events in this video. We will get to events in a bit later. So now let's move over to the side over here. So first off, here I'm seeing the clip view of the MIDI note data. So this is the clip, but you've also got the track option. So with the clip, you can see the note starts at bar 1. But if I switch over to the track, here you can see the same timing that it has within the timeline. So actually that clip starts at bar 3. So sometimes you might want to edit your MIDI note data within the clip, where other times you might want to edit because you want to see a time comparison with the timeline. Also, you've got some extra options that are available to you within track, but I'll get to that in a sec. So that is clip. Now you do have some other options. This is showing you the piano roll. So obviously if you play here, you're hearing the piano. Now you do have this other option here where it switches to a drum view. Now, obviously this is not going to make much sense because we're not working with drums. So let's find a drum version and then we can check that. So I'm just going to remove that editor and let's create a new instrument. So I'm going to create an instrument, a Bitwig device. Let's go for a drum machine container. So that's just going to open up an empty drum machine. And I can just double click this to show the device. And I'm going to add some drums. So I'll click here. I want to add the E kick into C1. And in D1, I want to add a snare. Just keep it simple. I just want to hear 2 hits. So I'll turn off the solo and we got this. Let's just increase that snare level and shorten those decays so it's a bit snappier. Bit lighter. There we go. And a kick. I just want to turn that down, that decay. Perfect. Okay, so now we've got a kick. I can draw in an event. So I'll just go for my pen tool, draw in over here. So there we've got a note. It jumps back to the pointer tool. I can double click on that. And here you can see the drum view. So if I go to the piano editor, I've got all the piano notes. But if I just go over to the drum editor, it's only going to show me the notes that I need. So I can quite easily go in there and create some drum programming. So let's go for the pen tool. And draw in some kicks. So let's just scroll down to our drum machine. This is over here. And I can play back. Obviously, that's a bit too much. So I can double click on a note to remove it in the MIDI editor. And instead, I want my snares on every offbeat. Now, I just want to show you something else. Let's jump back to the Quiet Jazzy Rhodes. So that's performance over there. And if you've got the track mode selected, and then you click over here to go to the layered editing mode, what this allows you to do now is allows you to see multiple clips together. So for example, here is my Rhodes. Then if I click here, I'm seeing the Rhodes part with the drums bit. So maybe I want to edit some of these drums so that it sits correctly on these parts. For example, maybe I want these snares over here and I want the kicks to be out and then a kick part to be here. So I know there's a kick there, kick there, kick there, and there's some snares. Maybe move these around to here and I can duplicate and create another kick over here. So just being able to see the piano Rhodes bit plus the drums allows me to do multi-layered editing within one single note editor view. Now that's pretty handy. Now let me show you something else that's also pretty handy. You can also layer behind it the view of an audio waveform so you can see what's happening, maybe for example with a beat with a piano or a bass part. So for example, I've got this top loop over here that is the BPFX 128 with loop 10. That should be fine. So what I can do is go over here and I can choose the audio 2. Is it audio 2? It is. And now that's laying that beat over there. So I could, for example, see exactly where I want these kicks to be. So I could layer these kicks on transient hits so I can match my kicks with the waveform. Now that is a very powerful feature. So just quickly and easily, you can edit a part by matching it up with audio that you pulled in. A really great way to work. And as you can see, I've just been using my MIDI editing tools, and the tools are exactly the same as I've explained before. You can take a time selection, grab parts and remove them, or even move them. So take these MIDI notes here and move them there. So it's copied that selection that I had selected and copied them across. And likewise, you've got your pen tool, you've got your eraser tool. So I can go in and just swipe over and get rid of things. And also then there is a knife tool. So this is handy to split notes up. So I can go here and split those notes up. Maybe I want to take that chord and just split it up and then go back to my pointer tool and make a different version of this, maybe shorten those notes, but so you've got something different. So as you can see, you've got a lot of customization and flexibility within this notes editor. It might look quite simple at first, but once you get to know all the tools that are available and the options that you can use, it really is a powerful feature. And the thing that I haven't really quite got into is the note expression. So I will get into that in the following videos so you can see some more advanced stuff that you can do with your MIDI. I'll catch you in the next video.